Well, now we turn to another student protest, this one taking place on the campus of Northern Arizona University, or NAU, in Flagstaff, where we did the broadcast on Thursday. So far this week, at least 8 students have been arrested after they refused to leave a university building at closing time while staging a sit-in to call on the school to divest from fossil fuels. The protest at Northern Arizona University began earlier this week when some 150 students spent over 12 hours occupying the Student and Academic Services building. The sit-in comes amidst a growing national movement on college campuses for fossil fuel divestment. Earlier this month at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, about 36 people were arrested after launching a similar sit-in. And at Columbia University, students occupied Low Library, demanding University President Lee Bollinger endorse fossil fuel divestment. Well, on Thursday, here in Arizona, I spoke with 2 coordinators of the fossil-free protest at Northern Arizona University, Micaela Mujica Steiner, a senior there at NAU, and Corina Gonzalez, a graduate student in forestry. They were among those arrested during the occupation. I started by asking Micaela to explain the action.
So this action is part of a larger national escalation that is happening across campuses to get universities to divest from the top 200 coal, oil, and natural gas corporations. Specifically, we are taking this action to get our President Rita Chang to come out with a formal public statement in support of full fossil fuel divestment.
Corina Gonzalez, what has the president of NAU here said from the beginning, and who actually makes the decisions here?
Yeah, that's a really great question. She actually hasn't said very much on the issue in general. Though we have met with her in the past, she hasn't officially yet taken a stance on fossil fuel divestment.
In those meetings, what has she said?
She said that she would like more information on the finances of fossil fuel divestment, which we have presented to her. So one of the bigger issues that this movement is dealing with is a 200-year-old mindset that fossil fuels are a good investment, which is frankly no longer true.
Can you talk about the companies that you want NAU, Northern Arizona University, to divest from?
Yeah, so Micaela. That information, the specific companies, is actually not public information because the NAU Foundation is a private entity.
Explain. A lot of places don't have a university foundation, but you do.
Yes.
NAU Foundation.
Yes. So the NAU Foundation is a private entity that makes investments for Northern Arizona University, and it is a private entity. It is a private nonprofit corporation. And so a lot of information is not transparent to the public.
So are you planning to continue this protest, and for how long?
We plan to continue this protest until we get our demand met that the university president will come out with a statement of support on fossil fuel divestment. And we believe that we can be persistent in this.
I wanted to turn to Bill McKibben, the co-founder of 350.org, who, when we had him on Democracy Now! Recently, described how the fossil fuel divestment movement has grown over the years.
We started this divestment movement, you remember, 3 years ago. And when we started, it was small. The first college to divest was Unity College up in Maine, whose endowment was, I think, under $10 million, maybe well under $10 million. In the past 2 weeks, the California State Legislature has divested CalPERS and CalSTRS, two of the 20 biggest pension funds on earth. And then yesterday comes the news kind of out of the blue that the UC system, you know, the iconic campuses at Berkeley and UCLA and Santa Barbara and Davis, beginning to divest at least from coal and tar sands oil. Their portfolio is not $10 million, it's $98 billion. There's a kind of just dramatic momentum behind this people's uprising on climate change.
That was Bill McKibben talking about the escalation of these protests. Finally, Corinna Gonzalez.
This movement has seen incredible momentum, not only within the past few years, but within the past few months and weeks. In the past 3 weeks, 62 students across the nation have gotten arrested because of this movement. And this is just a small example of what is happening not only across the nation, but across the world, which is incredibly exciting to see and also demonstrates how much power students and young people really have.
That's forestry graduate student Corinna Gonzalez and women in gender studies undergraduate Micaela Mujica Steiner, both students at Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff. They were both arrested this week, calling on their school to divest from fossil fuels. And then this is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. We're broadcasting from Tucson, Arizona.